Well, this is Dan Alford. We're at Pits and Spits today with Ryan. He's the owner. We're going to take a tour, but before we go in there, I want to talk a little bit about why in the world we're here today and how did you come to own this company?
So the long story short, I bought the company about 8.5 years ago. Wanted to get into owning a small business and liked the fact that you build something, you have a product that you deliver, and the fact that it is a consumer product in a barbecue pit or a grill, which people like to have, really just made it a lot easier to understand and kind of want to get into. We've been really operating the same way for the past 40 years. So we were founded in 1983, do the vast majority of our manufacturing in-house, and we still carried over a lot of those older techniques. And as we have grown over the past few years, we really needed to figure out a way to scale, to reach more customers faster, and to grow our just kind of general install base and dealer network. And so as part of that, we started looking at automation, and that's where Art came into play.
We did several demos for you, with traditional industrial robots, and they all worked, and you never bought it.
Well, I was intimidated by them, and then as technology does, it kind of ended up coming to us. And when the Cobot came out,
which is a collaborative robot, and the beauty of a collaborative robot, if it hits you, it won't hurt you.
Right, that's right. And so it freed us up in so many ways. Not only the lack of having to have the cell and dedicated real estate in your building, but also the much friendlier tablet style programming, so that we felt that it just really made the programming accessible to anyone, including myself, and that I can do it. I mean, I've gone and watched YouTube videos and then just kind of made my own programs on the weekend just to have fun and understand it.
And what's your background? You're a welder from way back?
I used to weld in high school in my ag classes. Actually was the top welder, but that was stick welding, so that's totally different kind of. So we're doing MIG, TIG, and heliarc here.
What's your formal training?
My formal training is I have a finance degree from the University of Texas. Okay. So I was in different parts of finance for about 8 years. And that's when I decided, after advising or seeing these guys that had built businesses, and kind of telling them what they should do, I was like, man, I want to be the guy on the other side of the table, and I want to employ people, and I want to have a product or service to deliver to people, as opposed to kind of just being an advice giver. And so that's how we got into this. So it's been fun, and it's been exciting, and it's been a interesting last few years. But we feel like today we are operationally in a better spot than we were 2 years ago, which we think is really exciting, because so many people are coming out in the other direction. And so that if there's a downturn or an upturn, over the next 12, 18 months, we feel like we're positioned pretty strongly for that.
Excellent. Now, I love this story because, you didn't like the idea of industrial robots. There was some advantages to collaborative, and you're living proof it can work, because you've got a great operator that's embraced the technology. He's actually making parts, and so that's what we're here to video. But before we do that, I'd like to get a tour of the shop.
Let's do it.
All right.
So something that sets us apart versus other smoker and grill manufacturers on a general basis. So if you go to a store and you see our product next to almost any other brand that's on the floor, is that we're made here in Houston. The vast majority of them are made in China and imported. And so they're coming in a box, on a container from a ship. That's not what we're doing. You can hear in the background, they're really building it right here. We don't use we don't use pipe, we don't use tanks. We're actually building out of sheet metal. So we bring in skids of sheet metal here. It's coming in flat stock. We take it over to our plasma and our shear, and that's where we cut our shapes, cut our dimensions, cut our sizes. We then take it over to our press brake, where we do a lot of bump rolling or bump bending, just kind of, some guys call it different things. That's how we actually form our shapes. So whether it be round or oblong, that allows us to find our dimension. And by going oblong, we can actually have more cooking surface area in the same footprint of grill.
I see. And the cheapest way to buy material is in sheet.
That's right.
This way to control cost.
That's right. What you will see is with most other Texas manufacturers that they bring in 24 or 30-inch pipe and cut that to size. And so you're actually getting almost a recycled product.
I see.
And so we don't believe in that. So everything we get is fresh, new, and ready to go.
Interesting.
This is a 40-year-old Lown pinch roller. And you can see, when we talk about in terms of the Cobot being a big jump for us, this is kind of, a way to think about our operation, in that we do things because they work, and they work for us. What we found is that this manual pinch roller, when you combine that with bump braking, actually gives us a tighter, better product. The CNC pinch rollers, you can bend on them, but the radius it gives you is not nearly as crisp as the bump brake. So while it is more manual, it actually delivers a better product.
I see. Interesting. So, and these are all mostly custom fits. This is high-end stuff. So
that's right. It's higher-end stuff. We can do anything custom. If someone wants something, wider, taller, we can do that.
I see a lot of stainless. What's the mix?
So our unit mix is probably about 20% full stainless, but every one of our products has a stainless lid and stainless front shelf on it.
That's the stuff that rusts.
That's right. That's right. And that's what we find that in our market, in the American-made smoker and grill market, there's a lot of stainless gas grills. There's really only 2 other stainless pellet grill manufacturers, maybe only 1 other stainless offset smoker manufacturer. And we've been doing it the longest. We think we really make a nice looking pit. So if you can swing it, because that material is a lot more expensive, right, and takes a lot more to polish, clean up, and look good, and they're beautiful. I mean, they come out great, and they will outlast us. That's a kind of a grandkid type heirloom product.
So didn't y'all start out mostly with all fire pits?
Well, we started off with offset smokers. So
that's wood.
That's right, wood burning.
Wood fired.
That's right, wood burning, stick burning.
But you're diverse now.
That's right. So now we have our pellet grills, which we introduced about 6 years ago, and now that makes up about 75% of our product mix. So it is a market that's blown up over the past few years. Not a good word to use there, but it's really expanded over the past few years. What we are seeing is that more people are moving back to live fire and wood fire. So what's been nice is by us getting into the pellet grill market, we were able to expand our brand and get more brand awareness, have kind of more room to run on the marketing side. Now we've introduced a hybrid, which is stick burner on one side, pellet grill on the other side, so you can do one or the other. We're also seeing more activity in our wood burning and charcoal burning grills. So I think the customer has really wanted to kind of circle back to a live fire experience. And I think a lot of it is that the pellet grill is giving them the confidence to do that. Yep. It can be a very intimidating process to say, I'm going to go buy a $80 piece of meat and cook it for 10 hours, 12 hours, and hope I don't screw it up. Well, now if you've got your sea legs under you with your pellet grill, you're not afraid to go do that and really, kind of get your hands dirty.
I see. What's next?
Cool. So once we roll, so these are just some examples of what our barrels look like. So this is sheet metal, been cut and rolled. Here's our barrels. This is this was actually the original product we talked to Ark about. This is something we still want to tackle one day.
I'm ready.
It is a very manual, and we're worried about the human art form part of this, but I think we're going to get there, and I think we're probably going to try it on that Cobot because we think we're getting that comfortable with it.
No, I think you need a new robot.
I think you're right. I think that's exactly right. So from there, we move over to the welding area, and this is where Paisano puts on the sides of the barrels. So that's a plasma or laser cut side. We tack and then seam these barrels up. Those are then ground down. So you'll notice how all of our barrels are fully welded, but have this nice clean edge, and that's because we actually take the time to grind them all. Which that is at the top of the list for the next robot.
We have grinding robots, don't you?
Oh yes. There's a grinding function on our Cobot. We just haven't gotten there yet. So once the barrel is ground, it then goes to our fit up, where they put on the legs, which is what we're making on the robot right now. And you can see this one's fully tacked.
So the whole leg assembly is now robotic.
That's right.
Excellent.
And so Paisano is taking this over to his workstation where he's going to seam up the legs. And once he does that, it's ready for paint.
And that's the paint booth.
We use an open face paint booth. Again, high on the list. It is a dirty, tedious job to accomplish. And we think that the robots that there will be a robot for us probably in the next 24 months that could do that. I know we looked into it a few years ago, and similar to the Cobot, it didn't seem like it was there just yet. The tech was there just yet, but now having learned how to run that and seen what the guys can do with that, we look at this and say that's a no-brainer.
That's a good application.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, as I mentioned, we're doing the fit up on our leg assemblies onto the barrels. So this is a 1250. All of the fit up comes through Nicasio. Historically, Nicasio would also have to build each one of these legs, this called a goal post, called an H assembly. He'd have to build that leg assembly and that front shelf assembly. So what was happening was, when he had his materials ready to go, he could rip out 10 a day, no problem. But it was those days off where he had to take the time to go build his sub-assemblies for this final assembly. And that's where we just kept scratching our head and banging our head against the wall, figuring out, how do we fix that? How do we fix that? Is it another welder? Is it batching? You know, some days he does this, some days he does that. Well, while we're fighting with that, we got a call from ARC to say, hey, you know that project we worked on a couple years ago? We think we finally got a fit for you on something else. And so that was where that's where the robot comes in.
And for all the potential robot users out there, you guys got the right attitude. You took the easiest, simplest part. I have so many people, they want to do the most difficult. That's wrong. You walk before you run. So
that's right.
We're doing the easy parts. You know, you were in production in no time flat. There's a lesson there.
Well, and I think a lot of people view robots as almost a bending machine, and that you put material in and the final product comes out, and that's just not how it works.
No, welding is an art and a science.
That's right, that's right. And there's some parts that we still do that we do some finishing by hand.
It's inevitable.
That's right, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So,
but use the robots where they work best and use the people where they work best.
That's exactly right.
There's still a place in the world for people.
That's exactly right. We're done over there. That gets welded up, seamed up, ready for paint, like I said. After it's painted, we come over to finishing. This is where John and Jose, they're running some different polishing wheels, so I apologize for the noise.
Part of the business.
That's right. But so they're polishing the stainless, and this is really one of our signature looks, really something that sets us apart versus our competition. And so what we think is crazy is we have this stainless 850 right here. It's a beautiful grill. It comes fully loaded with everything we have, covered, trapdoor, Wi-Fi, all the bells and whistles. That is a fully, packaged, a $4,000 product. There are now imported grills selling for $3,500.
Darn it.
A grill. And so we feel like they must have watched our price points kind of move over there and say, well, look, if they're getting that, we can go get that too. And we think it's just really cool that we can deliver a Houston, Texas made, fully stainless grill for darn near what it costs you to go buy a Chinese grill. This is our newest employee.
Now this is a Fanuc collaborative robot. Now Fanuc was a little late to the game on collaborative robots. Maybe that's what held us up with you. They weren't the first, but they took a lot of lessons from the folks that were building the early collaborative stuff. And in my opinion, this is definitely one of the best. So this one has 4 sensors in all axes. If it hits a fixture or a person or a part, it stops automatically.
Yep.
Makes it a lot safer.
A whole lot safer. And that's what's nice is that you can be working on this, the robot can be running over here on this fixture, and you can be either pulling out or replacing your parts over here on this fixture so that you're ready to run your next piece, and you don't have to have the fear of getting hurt, maimed, whatever.
Yeah. And you still have to do a risk assessment because welding by nature is not inherently safe. But
I will say as a business owner, that's one of the risks. The employee risk is something that kind of
it's huge.
Worries you all the time, keeps you up at night. Mm-hmm. And this makes me feel a lot better. And also knowing the guys that are running it are safe and smart guys too.
Because without the collaborative robot, this would have to be all on a heavy fence.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that was one of our concerns was that, well, if you invest the time and effort to do that, and then you want to move in a couple years or 3-4 years, what happens, right? Are we starting all the way over? Whereas with this, we could move this to the other side of the shop.
In an hour.
Because
the whole thing's skid mounted.
That's exactly right. Pick it up, move it over there. Maybe there'd be some touch-ups. I don't know. But the collaborative program, the touch-up is so easy. Yeah. It's so easy to do.
That's the other half of the equation.
That it just makes a ton of sense for I still consider us to be kind of novices in this space.
Oh, you're doing pretty good.
But I very much view us as potentially having several of these guys here over the next 3 to 4 years.
And I think the key to it is you had one employee, Daniel,
Yep.
who embraced the technology.
That's right.
And he is making us proud. So
that's right. And then Daniel's also taught John. So we have Daniel kind of heads up the effort over here. He also manages our production overall. So this makes a lot of sense for him to run this. But then if he's tied up or he's got something to do, he's taking the initiative to teach other guys that are also interested, so they can run it too. So it's been really cool, and it's a total change in kind of quality of employee and just kind of general attitude. I mean, I think that they see the future and they want to be part of it.
Well, the whole shop's embracing technology.
100%.
Right, because they realize that you're going to gain market share.
Well, that's exactly right. So we gain market share, we stay busier. Everyone's happy. When the busier you are, the happier you are.
How many jobs did this steal?
0.
Right. It's going to create jobs.
That's
what I got to make clear to people.
That's 100% right.
All right. Enough about this. Let's see if we can get Daniel in here.
Let's do it.
Run some parts.
Cool. Daniel?
All right, we're back, and I've got Daniel Benavides. I got to say that without a programmer operator, no robot will work. So thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
All right. So when did you become a robot programmer?
This year.
Right here?
Yeah, right here at the shop. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you do that? Tell me your background.
I like manufacturing. I like building things. I like welding. I like computers and everything related to it. So naturally, when Ryan brought this robot in here, I was the guy for that role.
You embraced it. No, yeah. I know your background, so from your description, you and I got a lot in common. That's all I did was build stuff. So that's how you make a roboticist, is you got to know computers and the manufacturing process. You knew how to weld, right?
Right, yeah.
You combine that, and you're doing great things. So you built these fixtures?
I did.
Okay, and you wrote the programs?
I did.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm quietly proud.
Yeah, this is fun. I love it.
Yeah,
and so,
I agree.
Yeah, it's natural fit into it. So.
Very cool. So you got a dry run to show us?
Yeah, I'm all set up. We can go ahead and start that. This is our table A, so that's where we'll start.
All right. So no arc on this time.
No arc. Yeah.
And I noticed earlier when you're dry running for me, you're running a lot of oscillation.
Right.
What's your logic? Bigger welds?
Bigger welds, just because not all of our parts are going to line up.
So what you're doing is accommodating for fit up. That's what I thought you were doing.
And when we do it like that, just lower error.
Yeah. So if the parts aren't quite fit properly, it'll cover it anyway.
Right.
So weld's a little bit slower, but it covers more errors.
That's the idea, yeah.
That's like advanced programming. So what's the welding process we have here?
Oh, as far as procedures, it's a little bit different. Actually quite simple, just whatever's functional.
So it's the same gas metal arc welding you're doing out in the shop?
Right.
So we're running a solid metal wire.
Solid metal wire, yeah. 75-25 gas, just
75 argon, 25 CO2.
Right. Just simple MIG welding.
All right, looks good. Can you run it hot for us?
I'll do that.
All right, so let's weld one. What is this part first? Tell me what we're building.
This is a bracket for the front shell.
For the front shell.
Right.
Okay.
So we might need maybe 10 to 12 to 15 in a day, and so we thought this is perfect for the robot. Just get a whole stack of them going. The fixture is pretty simple. It just lines up corner to corner. We use these little sliding stops. Takes about 30 to 45 seconds to load up, and maybe a 3-minute run.
Show me.
Yeah, let's do it.
Arc on. Nicely done.
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes even with fixtures, you know, when you set something up and you're like, we're gonna do this later, but as long as it's functioning, you know, you just keep going. Oh no, those were already pre-drilled. Yeah, and I,
Powdered metal carbides. Well, robots couldn't do that because they couldn't feed the rod and they can't do atomic hydrogen. So in order for me to automate it, I said, well, we got to exchange a few things. We got to go from atomic hydrogen to plasma. We got to go from steel matrix to nickel. We got to go from agglomerated carbides to crystalline.
warped. You know, they're so heavy, so when they picked them up in a big pile, they just come bowed.
Ryan, thanks for having us in. I always enjoy going in weld shops because, you know, that's where I started anyway. And I love this story. You know, here you come in, buy a business that's already established, it's doing all custom stuff. You want to expand, increase your volumes, and to do that you have to increase production. To do that you needed robots. It took us years to convince you. But, you know, now that you've done it, and, you know, I've been in the shop and I've seen how your guys embrace the technology. This is a great story.
Absolutely. I mean, it has been such a good deal for us. It's worked out well. We've seen probably a 20% increase in throughput, and kind of an easy way, if that makes sense. It's no longer such an urgent kind of push, or it doesn't require as much pressure to make that happen anymore, just because we now have a game plan. Now we know where we need parts and material, and when to start working on them to kind of make the plan work and get that backlog chewed through.
And so business is growing, you're expanding.
We are working through it. I mean, it's been a pretty wild year, but like I mentioned before, I think we've come out stronger than we were, you know, 12, 24 months ago. So we are looking for 2023 to be a really good year for us, and looking to grow in, you know, several spots across the country.
All right, so now that you're no longer a consultant and you're actually an entrepreneur down in the trenches with us, how do you like it?
You know, it's interesting. There are days, we always call it, you know, exhilarating highs and devastating lows, but it's addictive, and I can't imagine going back to what I was doing. You kind of find yourself into it and in it, and just all of a sudden realize this is kind of what you were meant to do.
Indeed.
And so it's exciting. There's never a dull moment.
Now you see why I enjoy my job, because I share a little bit in your success. So thanks for making us part of it.
Absolutely. Thank you for working with us.
Very good.